You're listening to From Imposter to Empowered. I'm your host, Jillian Perrick, master's graduate and success coach for entrepreneurial women. I help you overcome imposter syndrome and fear of rejection so you can be your best self, both in life and in business. Follow me on Instagram at Northern Resolutions. Let's get started. Hello, friends. What is up? It is Tuesday. It's almost going to be May. I was just about to say it's going to be me, like from the NSYNC song, because I keep seeing that meme absolutely everywhere. Anyways, it's almost going to be May. I'm going to be going on vacation with my family very shortly. So my boyfriend and my family, and so my siblings and their significant others and my parents and all of us, we're all going out west to visit my brother. And I also have 2 sets of aunt and uncles out there. So that's going to be really fun to be able to go and see them and have a little bit of a break. I got to batch that content, got to make sure everything's hunky-dory on this end so I can enjoy myself. But today's episode, it's going to be about another one of the I think it's either 6 or 7 like personality types of people that deal with imposter syndrome. And this one, I did an IGTV about it, but I wanted to make sure that I did a podcast because I know that there are people who don't have me on Instagram. And if you don't, you totally should. It's at Northern Resolutions. And you can see all my IGTV trainings because I do a lot of trainings. I try and do once a week on Saturdays when I have the days off. So I try and do like a little bit of a mini training when I have the time. So make sure you check that out. It's at Northern Resolutions. So this particular person who suffers from imposter syndrome, it is called the natural genius, and that's how Dr. Valerie Young coins it. And essentially, the natural genius is somebody who believes that if your skills are not inherent or automatic at something, it's not worth your time and people are going to judge you or they're going to think that you're not good at what you do. And this one really hit home when I was reading about it because I was thinking about all the things that I've tried to do, especially when I thought it was within my zone of genius. So in my IGTV, I use the example of owning a business and how I can coach on imposter syndrome and I can know what that is and have all this education, have all this training, but there are so many different elements to owning a business. There's the accounting, there's the marketing and the copywriting, which I'm still really learning all about. There's the social media, there's the community growth. There's so many different areas in a business that you don't even think about. And then when you start, you're like, oh my God, I'm so out of my league. And that can really throw entrepreneurs off. And that's a big component when it comes to me coaching female entrepreneurs. It's not just the fact that you're in your zone of genius and you're coaching on something. You need to know how to do it all. You need to know how to market to your ideal client. You need to be able to write to your ideal client so they want your services. It can all be very overwhelming, and if you're not automatically good at it, you start to doubt your capabilities. You start to doubt the fact if you're even cut out for this because of all these other areas in which you're struggling with. And that's not to say that you're struggling with your zone of genius. So for example, like let's say when I first started out, I was a coach. So I didn't have a very set niche. I would coach more on just anxiety and managing your productivity and stuff. I didn't love it, but that's what I was doing. But I was having a hard time marketing to people because I wasn't niching down. And so I was having a hard time marketing to people. And that was really throwing me off. And I started to doubt my own coaching capabilities because people didn't want my coaching. But people didn't want my coaching because I wasn't marketing myself properly. I don't even want to think about what my Instagram page looked like before I actually started getting into the marketing and advertising and the copywriting piece of it. So really, I was doubting my capabilities in my zone of genius because I wasn't good at everything, because it didn't come easy to me, especially stuff like selling. One of the big components of my coaching for women who have imposter syndrome who own businesses is overcoming that fear and that resentment around selling, because we have the socialization of asking for money is very difficult as a woman, and asking someone to pay us and basically confirm the fact that we're legit, that can be very hard for us. It's not hard for everybody, but it can be very hard for people, especially if they suffer from imposter syndrome. They have it coming from all different angles. So essentially, when you feel like you're not automatically good at something, what is your self-talk? Because I know that when I was in university and I would have to go through these classes, so I specifically took this one class. It was like a legal class, and it was, again, it's not my zone of genius. It's not something that I'm very good at. And I was really struggling with it because I really had to teach myself and coach myself on it over and over again to really even grasp some of the concepts. And it made me question if I should have even been doing my master's degree in the first place, because I was like, am I even cut out for this? I can't get through this course. And it was just one course. It was just one area in which I wasn't completely versed in, and I really needed to teach myself to learn it. And that's really where the natural genius comes in, is when if you feel like you have to work towards something, you feel like you're not good at it and therefore you're a fraud. But we go to university and we develop certifications, and not everybody can be an expert on everything. And even if you are an expert, there's always something else to learn. So I find that this especially happens with entrepreneurs, because we think that because we own a business and because we're asking people for money, specifically female entrepreneurs, like I was saying, we feel like people are going to give us their money. So we need to make sure that we know everything, that we are the expert, that we are the person that you come to for this problem. So showing any vulnerability or showing anything like I'm working on myself or working on this particular area in which I'm learning about, some people could be very scared to share that with their audience because they feel like it positions themselves underneath the title of expert. Like, okay, well, I'm not an expert if I have to constantly learn about this. But that's not true. You can be an expert on something and still be constantly educating yourself. In policing, there's always new legislation. I know police officers who, like, you have to continuously go to training to be able to keep yourself updated on the new legislation that happens every year. That doesn't mean that they're not an expert on legislation. It just means that they have to continuously learn to keep their skills up to date. And that can pretty much be about anything. And also, I personally think if I have a coach that is continuously learning and putting their learning above other things, instead of just acting like I already know everything, that makes me feel more comfortable, because it shows me that they're a human and that they don't have to know everything, and that means that I don't have to know anything either, because we're always seeking that permission from other people, right? And B, that it's okay to continuously learn, and they're putting that education ahead of their ego, and that way they can serve me better. So I did have a market research call with a couple wonderful ladies that were able to give me some of their time, so I could really hone in on like the language people were using when it comes to imposter syndrome. And this one girl, her name's Courtney, she helps manage the physical symptoms of anxiety for women, and she's actually launching a group program. So if you want information on that, let me know. But she said that she heard someone speak one time, and they said, why you don't need to know everything, you just need to know something. Or you don't need to know everything, you just need to know something. And that was in regards to being an expert on something. So you just need to know more than the person that you're teaching. You just need to have a greater depth of knowledge about a certain topic, more so than the person who you're teaching. Because that's essentially all this entrepreneurial stuff is. We're basically educating other people so they can go on and educate other people, and it goes on and on and on. Especially people who are business coaches or people who are virtual assistants and stuff. Like, you are passing that knowledge off to your client, and your client is going to be able to use that in their business and in their own life, and then they are probably going to pass it on to somebody else. And yeah, so that is basically how I feel about the natural genius. I definitely resonated with this because I feel like if I wasn't good at something automatically off the bat, then it wasn't worth doing, or I just wasn't good at it, and then that just made my self-worth plummet even farther down, right? Because this can also prevent us from trying to risk anything. So it can prevent us from putting ourselves out there because we're afraid to be bad at something or risk failure. And like essentially when it comes to imposter syndrome, everything comes down to the thoughts that you're telling yourself. So the negative self-talk and your fear of rejection or failure, and then it also comes down to your self-worth. So if we really look at like the foundational blocks of imposter syndrome, like a lot of it comes from thought work, building that sustainable and real self-esteem, and being confident in what you're doing and your services and who you are as a person, because that's ultimately where it comes from. So that's all I got for you on the natural genius. Again, Dr. Valerie Young, amazing research, studied a lot of her research, and this one component of the personalities that deal with imposter syndrome really spoke to me. So with that being said, I have recently launched, so yesterday, because today is Tuesday, April 30th, but I recently launched a freebie. It's a journaling freebie. It's for 30 days, and it's an actual like workbook with the journal prompt. So it's not just the email sequence, which I did before, but it is actually a journaling workbook, and it takes you through the steps of like awareness and integration with regards to your thoughts. It really gets you thinking about success, family dynamics, and how that all has come into play with how you are executing your business now. We talk about goals, and it's also a really good resource because I find sometimes I sit down and I don't know what to journal about. So if you feel like, if you are a female entrepreneur, I'm specifically niching down with side hustlers, but it can basically be for anybody. So if you're an entrepreneur who journals and really likes to get all her feelings out that way, and you're looking for something to journal about, and you really suffer from imposter syndrome and you feel like it's affecting your business and your self-esteem, you can go to the link. I'm going to put it in the show notes here. And I would love to give that to you. I think it's a really great resource and something that will really help you be aware of your thoughts and help change the trajectory of them. And finally, I am in the very pre-stages of launching a group program. I believe we're going to start in July. That's what I'm aiming for. And it's going to be for side hustlers that are trying to pitch their services. They're trying to be visible on Instagram or on social media in general, and they're having a really hard time because imposter syndrome is affecting their ability to be visible, affecting their ability to confidently pitch their services so they actually get clients, and has a pretty low sense of self-worth, and finds himself struggling in the day-to-day tasks of getting your stuff done. Also, if you experience rejection or failure, it throws off your entire week or month, or you just end up procrastinating for whatever reason, and you give yourself all these reasons as to why you don't need to get things done, and then you beat yourself up for not being able to get anything done in your business. So if you are interested in that, I'm going to be opening a wait list, and the people that are on the wait list are going to get $100 off of the program price. And it's going to be for a really good chunk of time, not anything super long, but something that's long enough so we're able to overcome those negative thoughts, and really do a deep dive into those feelings and emotions. And it's also going to be a lot about strategy as well with regards to your business. So how you can implement the changes that you're making on the inside to reflect those in your business. And yeah, so I'm going to be opening the waitlist soon, and you're going to be able to get $100 off. Yay! So if you are interested in that, I will put the waitlist either in the show notes or the next episode that I do, or you can follow me on Instagram at Northern Resolutions and keep your eyes peeled for that. So I hope you guys have a really great week, and I'll talk to you later. Thanks for listening to From Imposter to Empowered with me, Jillian Perrick, master's graduate and success coach for entrepreneurial women who want to overcome imposter syndrome and fear of rejection. You can find me on Instagram at Northern Resolutions, or info on my services and client reviews at my website, northernresolutions.com. See you next time.